The vast emptiness of space suddenly lit up with a dazzling display of lights. Thousands of starships, each bigger than the largest cities on Earth, emerged from hyperspace. Their sleek, metallic bodies gleamed under the distant starlight, a testament to technology far beyond human understanding. This was the arrival of the Galactic Empire, a coalition of advanced alien races that had ruled the Milky Way for millennia. At the front of this massive fleet was the flagship Celestial Throne, a vessel so enormous it could easily be mistaken for a small moon. Inside its command center, Supreme Emperor Zax, a tall, imposing figure with iridescent scales and piercing golden eyes, stood gazing at the blue-green planet before him. Earth, a primitive world on the outer edges of the galaxy, was about to learn its place in the cosmic order. "Send the message," Zax commanded, his voice a low, resonant hum that sent shivers down the spines of his crew. On Earth, it was just another Tuesday. People went about their daily lives, unaware of the monumental shift about to occur in human history. In New York, a hot dog vendor argued with a customer over the price of mustard. In Tokyo, a group of schoolgirls giggled over the latest pop sensation. In Lagos, a taxi driver honked furiously at the gridlocked traffic. Then, everything changed. Every screen on the planet, televisions, smartphones, computers, even digital billboards, suddenly went dark. For a moment, the world held its breath. Then, a face appeared. It wasn't human. The being on the screen had blue-tinted skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and what looked like tentacles where hair should be. In perfect, accentless English, and simultaneously in every language on Earth, the alien spoke. "People of Earth, hear me. I am Ambassador Xindril of the Galactic Empire. Your insignificant planet has been chosen for annexation. Resistance is futile. Prepare yourselves. We are coming." The message repeated 3 times before all screens returned to normal, leaving a stunned planet in its wake. Chaos erupted almost immediately. In Washington, D.C., the president was rushed to a secure bunker as his advisors scrambled to make sense of the situation. The United Nations convened an emergency session, with representatives from every nation arguing passionately about how to respond to this unprecedented threat. Meanwhile, ordinary people reacted in various ways. Some panicked, rushing to stores to stock up on supplies. Others took to the streets in protest, demanding their governments take action. A few fringe groups even celebrated, seeing the aliens as saviors coming to solve Earth's problems. In a secret facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Sarah Martins of the newly formed Earth Defense Force slammed her fist on the table. "We're not ready," she growled, looking at the assembled world leaders on the video conference. "Our most advanced weapons are like slingshots compared to what they must have." The Chinese premier, his face grim, spoke up. "Then we must buy time. Perhaps we can negotiate." The Russian president scoffed. "Negotiate? Did you not hear them? This is not a diplomatic mission. It's an invasion." As the debate raged on, a young scientist named Dr. Aiden Chen sat quietly in the corner, his mind racing. He had been working on a theoretical defense system, something that could protect the entire planet. But it was years, maybe decades, away from being viable. "Unless we need to pool our resources," Aiden suddenly blurted out, drawing surprised looks from the world leaders. "Every country, every scientist, every resource we have. It's our only chance." There was a moment of silence as the weight of his words sank in. Then, one by one, the leaders nodded in agreement. For the first time in human history, the entire world united under a single cause: survival. As the meeting adjourned and plans were set in motion, General Martinez approached Aiden. "I hope you know what you're doing, Dr. Chen," she said, her voice a mix of hope and skepticism. "Because right now, you're Earth's best shot." Aiden swallowed hard, the enormity of the task ahead hitting him. "I hope so too," he whispered. High above, the Galactic Empire's fleet hung in orbit, a sword of Damocles over an unsuspecting world. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of humanity. Earth had declared itself off-limits, but would the Galactic Empire listen? Only time would tell. The next few days on Earth were unlike anything in human history. The planet buzzed with a mixture of fear, excitement, and determination. In every country, city, and village, people worked together with a single goal: to protect their home. Dr. Aiden Chen found himself at the center of this global effort. His small lab in California had become the headquarters for Operation Shield, the ambitious project to create a planetary defense system. Scientists from around the world poured in, bringing with them ideas, technologies, and a desperate hope. "We need to think bigger," Aiden said to the crowded room. "Forget everything you know about current tech. We're not fighting humans here. We need to leap forward by centuries, and we need to do it in days." In Russia, their top engineers worked day and night to repurpose their most advanced rocket systems. In Japan, nanotechnology experts pushed the boundaries of material science, creating new alloys stronger than anything known before. In Africa, a team of botanists made a breakthrough with a plant that could absorb and redirect energy on a massive scale. Meanwhile, the world's militaries prepared for the worst. General Sarah Martinez coordinated a global defense strategy, but she knew their chances were slim. "We're buying time," she told her officers. "Every second we hold out is another second for Chen and his team to work their miracle." Up in space, the Galactic Empire watched with growing curiosity. Emperor Zax Avian had expected immediate surrender. Instead, he saw a planet uniting and rallying. "Interesting," he mused, his four eyes blinking in sequence. "Perhaps these humans are more entertaining than we thought." His second-in-command, a towering insectoid creature named Clicksfera, chittered nervously. "Should we attack now, Your Highness? Crush their spirit before they gain hope." Zax Avian waved a dismissive tentacle. "Patience, Clicksfera. Let them scramble. It makes the victory all the sweeter." Back on Earth, in a hidden bunker deep beneath the Swiss Alps, world leaders gathered for an emergency summit. The mood was tense as they debated their next move. "We should try to communicate," urged the Indian Prime Minister. "Perhaps we can reason with them." The Brazilian president shook her head. "And say what? Please don't conquer us. We need to show strength." As the argument heated up, a young aide burst into the room. "Excuse me," he said, breathless, "but you need to see this." He activated a large screen, showing a live feed from Times Square in New York. The usually bustling area was packed with people, all looking up at the giant screens. But instead of ads or news, every screen showed the same message: "Earth stands united. No entroyaloid." Similar scenes played out in cities across the globe. From Tokyo to Rio, from Cape Town to London, people had taken to the streets with a clear message: Earth would not go quietly. The leaders watched in awe. The American president broke the silence. "Well," he said with a grim smile, "I guess the people have spoken." As the summit concluded, a plan was formed. Earth would not attack, but neither would it surrender. They would stand firm and continue to prepare, hoping that Aiden and his team could pull off a miracle. In his lab, Aiden worked feverishly. Holographic displays surrounded him, showing complex equations and designs. He had been awake for 72 hours straight, fueled by determination and copious amounts of coffee. Suddenly, he froze. His eyes widened as he stared at a particular set of calculations. "That's it," he whispered. Then louder, "That's it." His shout startled the other scientists. "What's it?" asked Dr. Yuki Tanaka, his chief assistant. Aiden's face broke into a wide grin. "I know how to build the shield. It's crazy, it's practically impossible, but it just might work." As he explained his idea, excitement spread through the lab. For the first time since the Galactic Empire arrived, there was a glimmer of real hope. But their celebration was short-lived. Alarms blared throughout the facility. General Martinez's face appeared on the main screen, her expression grim. "Dr. Chen," she said, her voice tight with tension. "We're out of time. The Empire's ships are moving. They're starting their attack." Aiden's face set in determination. "Then we better get to work," he said. "The future of Earth depends on us." As the first shots were fired in orbit, the race to save humanity entered its most critical phase. The Earth had declared itself off limits, and now it was time to back up those words with action. The sky above Earth erupted in a dazzling display of light and energy. The Galactic Empire's first wave of attack had begun. Hundreds of sleek, alien ships descended from orbit, their weapons charged and ready. General Sarah Martinez stood in the command center of Earth's unified defense force, her face illuminated by the glow of multiple screens. "This is it, people," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Remember your training. We're not just fighting for ourselves, but for every human on this planet." The first shots came from a squadron of Empire fighters. Beams of energy, more powerful than anything Earth had ever seen, lanced down towards major cities. But they didn't hit. At the last second, they were deflected by a shimmering force field that appeared out of nowhere. In his underground lab, Dr. Aiden Chen pumped his fist in triumph. "It works," he shouted. "The localized shields are holding." But their celebration was short-lived. While the shields protected the cities, the countryside was still vulnerable. Empire ships began targeting power plants, military bases, and other strategic locations. "We need more time," Aiden said, his voice strained as he worked furiously at his console. "The planetary shield isn't ready yet." Back in the command center, General Martinez was coordinating a counterattack. Earth's military forces, though vastly outgunned, fought with determination and cunning. Fighter jets engaged alien craft in desperate dogfights. Ground-based energy weapons, hastily developed using reverse-engineered alien tech, managed to bring down a few Empire ships. In New York, a massive alien cruiser hovered over the city, its shadow darkening the streets. As it prepared to fire, the Statue of Liberty suddenly came to life. Its torch glowed with an unearthly light, shooting a beam that pierced the alien ship's hull. The cruiser listed to one side before crashing into the Hudson River. Similar scenes played out around the world. In Egypt, the pyramids unveiled hidden defenses, their ancient stones concealing highly advanced weaponry. In the Amazon rainforest, trees seemed to come alive, entangling and bringing down Empire dropships. Emperor Zax Avian watched the battle unfold from his flagship, his expression a mix of annoyance and grudging respect. "These humans are more resourceful than we anticipated," he mused. Clix Vera, his second in command, chittered nervously. "Shall we commit more forces, Your Highness?" Zax Avian's four eyes narrowed. "No, this is merely a test. Let's see how long they can hold out." On Earth, the battle raged on. Despite their valiant efforts, humanity's defenses were being overwhelmed. Cities that once stood proud were now burning. The death toll was rising by the minute. In his lab, Aiden worked frantically. Sweat dripped from his brow as he input complex calculations. Come on," he muttered. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. Dr. Yuki Tanaka rushed in, her face pale. "Aiden, they've found us. Empire forces are heading this way." Aiden looked up, his eyes wide with fear and determination. "We need more time. If they destroy this lab, Earth is done for." At that moment, General Martinez's face appeared on the main screen. "Dr. Chen, what's your status?" "We're close, General, but we need at least another hour." Martinez nodded grimly. "You'll have it. We're sending everything we've got to protect your location. Just hurry." Outside the hidden facility, a fierce battle erupted. Earth's remaining forces threw themselves at the incoming Empire troops. Soldiers fought with a desperation born from knowing they were humanity's last hope. In orbit, a small team of astronauts on the International Space Station made the ultimate sacrifice. They piloted the station directly into the Empire's flagship, causing significant damage and disarray among the alien fleet. As the battle raged on, news spread across the globe. People huddled in shelters, watching the footage with a mixture of fear and hope. In the face of overwhelming odds, humanity stood united as never before. Back in the lab, Aiden's team worked tirelessly. The sounds of battle grew closer, the walls shaking with each impact. But they didn't stop. They couldn't stop. Just as it seemed all hope was lost, Aiden let out a triumphant yell. "It's done." Initiating the planetary shield now. He slammed his hand down on a large red button. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a wave of energy burst forth from the facility, expanding rapidly to encompass the entire planet. In space, Emperor Zack's avian watched in disbelief as a shimmering barrier enveloped Earth. His ship's weapons bounced harmlessly off the shield. "Impossible," he whispered. On Earth, cheers erupted as people realized the attack had stopped. But in the command center, General Martinez's expression remained grim. "We've won the battle," she said quietly. "But the war has just begun." As the dust settled, humanity began to assess the damage. The cost had been high, but Earth had survived its first encounter with the Galactic Empire. And in doing so, it had declared to the galaxy, "We are here, we will fight, and we are not to be underestimated." The days following the Galactic Empire's first attack were filled with a mix of celebration and intense preparation. Earth had survived, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. In the secret underground lab, Dr. Aiden Chen and his team worked tirelessly to improve the planetary shield. The prototype had saved them, but it was far from perfect. "We need to strengthen it," Aiden said, his eyes red from lack of sleep. "The Empire won't fall for the same trick twice." Dr. Yuki Tanaka nodded, her fingers flying over a holographic keyboard. "I've been analyzing the data from the attack. Look at this." She pulled up a 3D model of the shield. There are weak spots where the energy flow isn't consistent. As they worked, General Sarah Martinez entered the lab. Her uniform was wrinkled, and dark circles under her eyes betrayed her exhaustion. "Doctor," she said, "we need an update. The world leaders are getting nervous." Aiden ran a hand through his messy hair. "We're making progress, but it's not enough. The shield will hold against another attack like the last one, but if they bring their full force..." He trailed off, the implications clear. Martinez's face hardened. "Then we need something more. A weapon." The room fell silent. Finally, Yuki spoke up. "Actually, we might have something." All eyes turned to her as she pulled up another hologram. It showed a complex network of energy pathways, all converging at a single point. "We've been so focused on defense," she explained, "but what if we could turn the shield into a weapon?" Aiden's eyes widened as he understood. "You want to concentrate the shield's energy into a single point and fire it as a beam." Yuki nodded. "Exactly. The energy output would be astronomical." Martinez leaned in, studying the hologram. Could it work? Aiden and Yuki exchanged glances. "In theory, yes," Aiden said, "but the power requirements would be enormous. We'd have to divert energy from the entire planet." "Do it," Martinez ordered. "I'll handle the logistics. You have 48 hours. As Martinez left to brief the world leaders, Aiden and his team threw themselves into their work. Around the globe, power plants were pushed to their limits. People were asked to conserve energy in any way they could. The entire planet held its breath, waiting. In orbit, the Galactic Empire regrouped. Emperor Zack's avian paced on the bridge of his flagship, all four of his eyes narrowed in anger. "How?" he demanded. "How did these primitive creatures repel us?" Click Sfera, his second-in-command, approached cautiously. "Your Highness, our scouts report increased energy readings from the planet. They appear to be preparing something." Zack's avian's tentacles writhed in agitation. "Then we strike now, before they're ready." Prepare the fleet. We will crush this insignificant world once and for all. Back on Earth, alarms blared in the command center. General, a young officer called out. Empire ships are moving into attack formation. Martinez grabbed her comlink. Chen, we're out of time. Is it ready? In the lab, Aiden and Yuki exchanged panicked looks. It's not perfect, Aiden said, but it'll have to do. Initiating now. Across the planet, lights flickered and died as power was diverted to the shield. In space, the Empire fleet approached. Weapons charge. Fire at will, Zack's avian commanded, a cruel smile on his alien face. The Empire ships unleashed a barrage of energy weapons, far more powerful than their first attack. The beams struck Earth's shield, which glowed brightly under the assault. For a moment, it seemed the shield would fail. Cracks of energy spider-webbed across its surface. But then, something unexpected happened. The shield began to pulse, drawing in the energy from the Empire's attacks. At the North Pole, a massive cannon emerged from the ice, pointed directly at the Empire fleet. Now, Aiden shouted. A blinding beam of energy shot from the cannon. Slicing through space, it struck the Empire flagship, cutting it in half. The beam continued, destroying ship after ship. On the bridge of his disintegrating flagship, Emperor Zack's avian watched in disbelief. Impossible, he whispered, moments before the beam reached him. In the command center, cheers erupted as they watched the Empire fleet crumble. Martinez allowed herself a small smile. Send the message, she ordered. Across every communication channel, in every language, Earth broadcast its defiance to the stars. Earth is off limits. No entry allowed. As the remnants of the Empire fleet retreated, humans around the world celebrated. They had faced the greatest threat in their history and emerged victorious. But in the secret lab, Aiden and Yuki shared a concerned look. This isn't over, is it? Yuki asked. Aiden shook his head. No, this is just the beginning. But at least now, we have a fighting chance. As dawn broke over a victorious but forever changed Earth, humanity looked to the stars with new eyes. They were no longer alone in the universe, and they were ready to take their place among the galactic community, whether the Empire liked it or not. The victory over the Galactic Empire's fleet had left Earth in a state of cautious celebration. People around the world rejoiced, but leaders knew that this was far from over. In the days that followed, Earth prepared for what they knew would be an inevitable response from the Empire. In a heavily guarded conference room deep beneath the United Nations building in New York, world leaders gathered to discuss their next move. The atmosphere was tense, filled with a mix of pride in their recent victory and anxiety about the future. General Sarah Martinez stood at the front of the room, her uniform crisp despite the bags under her eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, we've won a battle, but the war is far from over. We need to act now, while the Empire is still reeling from our counterattack. The President of the United States leaned forward. What do you propose, General? Martinez nodded to Dr. Aiden Chen, who stepped up to the holographic display. We've analyzed the data from our engagement with the Empire, Aiden said. Their technology is advanced, but not infallible. We believe we can improve our planetary shield to withstand even their strongest attacks. But defense alone won't be enough, added Dr. Yuki Tanaka. We need to show the Empire that we're not just capable of defending ourselves, but that we pose a real threat to them. The room erupted in murmurs. The Chinese premier spoke up. Are you suggesting we attack the Empire? We barely know anything about them. Aiden shook his head. Not an attack. A demonstration. We've modified the shield to project a focused energy beam, as you saw in our last encounter. We propose sending a message to the Empire, backed by a display of this weapon's power. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Finally, the Secretary General of the UN spoke. What kind of message did you have in mind? General Martinez stepped forward again. An ultimatum. We tell the Empire in no uncertain terms, Earth is off limits. Any further aggression will be met with the full force of our defenses. Debate raged for hours, but in the end, the decision was unanimous. Earth would stand its ground. The next day, as the world held its breath, a message was broadcast into space, aimed directly at the retreating Empire fleet. On every screen across the planet, people watched as their chosen representative, a respected diplomat named Dr. Emilium Nkosi, delivered Earth's message. Dr. Nkosi stood tall, her voice clear and unwavering. To the Galactic Empire and all who may be listening, I speak on behalf of the united people of Earth. We have witnessed your power and faced your aggression. We have also demonstrated our resolve and our ability to defend ourselves. She paused, letting her words sink in. Let it be known throughout the galaxy, Earth is hereby declared off-limits to the Galactic Empire. We do not seek conflict, but we will not bow to tyranny. Any further incursion into our space, any act of aggression against our planet or its people, will be met with immediate and decisive retaliation. As she spoke, the planetary shield activated. A beam of energy, visible even from the ground, shot into space. It struck an uninhabited moon of Jupiter, causing a massive explosion that was visible to the Empire's retreating ships. Dr. Nkosi continued, "We possess the power to defend ourselves, as we have demonstrated, but we would prefer peace. We invite diplomatic communication, cultural exchange, and mutually beneficial cooperation. The choice is yours." She concluded with a phrase that would soon become famous across the galaxy. Earth stands united. No entry allowed without explicit permission. This is our home, and we will defend it. As the message ended, the world held its collective breath. In homes, public squares, and refugee camps, people huddled around screens, waiting for a response. In orbit, aboard the remaining Empire ships, the message was received with shock and disbelief. Acting Emperor Klixfera, who had assumed command after Zaxavian's defeat, chittered nervously to his advisors. "How do we respond to this?" he asked, his compound eyes blinking rapidly. "They've destroyed half our fleet, and now they dare to make demands." A seasoned admiral stepped forward. "Your Highness, I advise caution. These humans have proven more formidable than we anticipated. Perhaps we should consider their offer of diplomacy." Klixfera's mandibles clacked in agitation. Diplomacy. With primitives. The Empire does not negotiate, we conquer. But even as he spoke, doubt crept into his voice. The Empire had never faced a species like humanity before. For the first time in millennia, the outcome of a conflict was uncertain. Back on Earth, as hours turned into days with no response from the Empire, a new sense of pride and unity swept across the planet. Humanity had stood up to the stars themselves and declared their independence. Whatever came next, they would face it together. In his lab, Aiden watched the skies, both hopeful and anxious. "What do you think they'll do?" Yuki asked, standing beside him. Aiden shook his head. "I don't know. But whatever it is, we'll be ready." As Earth waited for the Empire's response, one thing was clear. The galaxy would never be the same again. The tension in the air was palpable as Earth waited for the Galactic Empire's response. Days turned into weeks, and still there was no word from the alien forces. But humanity knew better than to let their guard down. In every corner of the globe, preparations continued. Military forces trained day and night, integrating newly developed technologies into their strategies. Scientists worked tirelessly to improve the planetary shield and weapon systems. Even civilians did their part, participating in drills and learning basic survival skills. Then, exactly 1 month after Earth's ultimatum, it happened. The sky lit up with thousands of pinpricks of light as the Empire's full might emerged from hyperspace. This was no mere invasion force. It was an armada designed to crush worlds. Alarms blared across the planet. In the command center, General Sarah Martinez's face was grim but determined. "This is it. people, the moment we've been preparing for. Let's show them what humanity is made of." Dr. Aiden Chen and Dr. Yuki Tanaka rushed to their stations, fingers flying over holographic controls as they brought the planetary shield online. The massive energy barrier flickered into existence just as the first wave of Empire ships opened fire. The impact was tremendous. Even with the shield, the ground shook and the sky seemed to burn. But the shield held. "Return fire," General Martinez ordered. Earth's new weapon systems roared to life. Massive energy beams shot from hidden bases around the planet, slicing through the Empire's ships. But for every ship they destroyed, it seemed 2 more took its place. In orbit, Acting Emperor Clix Vera watched the battle unfold with a mix of rage and disbelief. "How are they resisting us?" he chittered angrily. "Increase power to all weapons. We will crack this planet like an egg." The battle raged for hours. Earth's shield flickered and strained under the constant bombardment, but it didn't break. The planet's weapons took a heavy toll on the Empire's fleet, but the aliens' numbers seemed endless. As the conflict stretched into its second day, exhaustion began to set in on both sides. In the command center, Aiden approached General Martinez, his face pale with fatigue. "General, we can't keep this up forever," he said. "The shield is holding, but our power reserves are dropping fast. We need to end this soon." Martinez nodded grimly. "Agreed. But how?" Yuki stepped forward, a determined glint in her eye. "I have an idea. It's risky, but it might be our only shot." She quickly outlined her plan. Using the planetary shield technology, they could create a localized field around the Empire's flagship. Then, with a sudden burst of power, they could collapse the field, taking out the Empire's command structure in one fell swoop. But Yuki added, "It would take every ounce of power we have. We'd be defenseless for several minutes after." Martinez considered for a moment, then nodded. "Do it. It's all or nothing now." As Earth's forces rallied for one final push, the plan was put into motion. The planetary shield seemed to flicker and fail, drawing a triumphant cry from the Empire forces. They pressed their attack, not realizing they were falling into a trap. Just as Clix Vera was about to give the order for ground invasion, a bubble of energy formed around his flagship. His compound eyes widened in surprise, then fear, as he realized what was happening. "No!" he screamed. "Ritria!" His words were cut off as the energy field collapsed, imploding with the force of a small sun. The flagship and several surrounding ships vanished in a blinding flash of light. For a moment, everything was still. Then, chaos erupted among the Empire forces. Without their leader, without a clear chain of command, the massive armada fell into disarray. Seizing the moment, Earth's forces pressed their advantage. Ships fell by the dozens, then hundreds, as the once mighty Empire fleet began to retreat. As the last of the alien ships disappeared into hyperspace, a deafening cheer rose from every corner of the planet. Against all odds, humanity had prevailed. In the command center, exhausted but elated faces looked to General Martinez. She allowed herself a small smile before speaking. "Well done, everyone. But don't celebrate too hard just yet. We've won the battle. But the war." She paused, looking at the screens showing the retreating Empire ships. "The war has only just begun." As the adrenaline of victory began to fade, the enormity of what had transpired started to sink in. Humanity had faced the greatest threat in its history and emerged victorious. But the galaxy now knew of Earth's existence and of its power. What challenges would this new era bring? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. Earth had earned its place among the stars, and it would never be the same again. In the months following Earth's stunning victory over the Galactic Empire, the planet buzzed with activity. The scars of battle were slowly healing, but the world had changed forever. Humanity now looked to the stars not with wonder, but with a mix of caution and determination. At the United Nations headquarters in New York, now expanded to include a massive space monitoring center. World leaders gathered to discuss Earth's future. The room was filled with a sense of pride, but also great responsibility. General Sarah Martinez, now hailed as the defender of Earth, stood before the assembly. "We've proven ourselves on the galactic stage," she said, her voice firm. "But our work is far from over. The Empire may be defeated, but they're not destroyed. And there are other powers out there we know nothing about." Dr. Aiden Chen stepped forward, accompanied by Dr. Yuki Tanaka. "We've been analyzing the technology we captured from the Empire ships," Aiden explained. "It's advancing our understanding of physics and engineering by decades, maybe centuries." Yuki nodded, adding, "But more importantly, we've decrypted some of their communication logs. The galaxy is vast, filled with countless civilizations. Some may be friendly, others not so much." The room buzzed with murmurs. The president of the African Union spoke up. "Are you suggesting we prepare for more wars?" "Not necessarily," General Martinez replied. "But we need to be ready for anything. I propose we establish an Earth Space Force, dedicated to exploring and protecting our interests beyond our atmosphere." The debate raged for hours, but in the end, the decision was unanimous. Earth would reach for the stars, but this time, on its own terms. Over the next few years, humanity's progress was nothing short of miraculous. The technology salvaged from the Empire, combined with human ingenuity, led to breakthroughs in every field. Clean energy became abundant, diseases that once plagued millions were cured, and the first faster-than-light spacecraft was built. 5 years after the Great Battle, the ESS Hope, Earth's first diplomatic vessel, set out on its maiden voyage. Its mission: to make peaceful contact with other civilizations and establish Earth's place in the galactic community. As the Hope traveled through the stars, it encountered wonders beyond imagination. Some alien races welcomed them with open arms, or tentacles, eager to learn about the species that had defeated the once mighty Empire. Others were more cautious, wary of this new power in the galaxy. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. The remnants of the Empire, now splintered into competing factions, still posed a threat. Skirmishes broke out on the fringes of Earth's expanding sphere of influence. Each time, humanity's resolve was tested, and each time, they emerged stronger. 10 years after Earth's declaration of independence, a momentous event took place. Representatives from 100 different alien civilizations gathered on a neutral space station for the first galactic concordat. Earth, once an unknown backwater planet, now sat at the head of the table. Dr. Emilium Cosi, the diplomat who had delivered Earth's ultimatum years ago, now stood as Earth's ambassador. She looked out at the diverse assembly of beings, some humanoid, others defying easy description, and felt the weight of history on her shoulders. "Friends, allies, and honored delegates," she began, her voice clear and strong. "A decade ago, Earth was unknown to the galaxy at large. We faced annihilation at the hands of an empire that saw us as nothing more than another conquest. But we survived. We fought back. And in doing so, we discovered we were not alone in our desire for freedom and self-determination." She paused, looking at each delegation in turn. "Today we gather not to form new empires or draw battle lines, but to forge a new path. One of cooperation, mutual respect, and peaceful coexistence. The old empire sought to rule through fear and force. Let us instead build a galaxy united by hope and shared prosperity." As Ambassador Nkosi spoke, screens around the station displayed images of Earth's journey over the past decade. The battle against the Empire, the first contact with friendly aliens, joint scientific endeavors that pushed the boundaries of knowledge. Earth remains free and off-limits to any who would seek to conquer or control us, Nkosi continued. But we open our arms to all who wish to join us in building a better future. Let this concordat be the foundation of a new era of galactic peace and cooperation. As she finished her speech, the station erupted in a chorus of cheers, applause, and various alien vocalizations of approval. The Galactic Concordat was signed, marking the beginning of a new age. Back on Earth, humans watched the proceedings with pride and hope. The planet that had once seemed so large now felt like just a small part of a vast, wondrous universe. Yet it was their home, and they had defended it against impossible odds. As the celebrations began, both on Earth and across friendly worlds, General Martinez stood with Aiden and Yuki, watching the stars from an orbital station. "We did it," Aiden said softly. "We really did it." Martinez nodded, a small smile on her face. "We sure did. Earth isn't just off-limits anymore. It's a beacon of hope for the entire galaxy." As they looked out at the infinite expanse of space, they knew that whatever challenges the future held, humanity would face them head-on. Earth had declared itself off-limits, and in doing so, had opened up a universe of possibilities. The end, and a new beginning.